My grandfather was kept on for two reasons. The first was that he had been the bodyguard of Lord William's mother. She, however, had died not long after Lord Robert. He was also kept on because he was a good warrior, and he was English, although he had Danish blood in him. He was able to teach the men of Lord William's domain how to fight against warriors armed with a Danish axe, and who did not fight from horseback. The Saxons and Danes who lived in England preferred a shield wall. As I came to learn, the Normans had embraced the horse. Also descended from the warriors known as Vikings, the Normans now had an edge over their blood kin. When my grandfather was not training young warriors to use the sword, he was advising the knights and men-at-arms on the best way to defeat a man swinging a two-handed Danish axe. Although old, my grandfather could swing the axe with such ease that it was beautiful to watch. The knights respected my grandfather. Thanks to my grandfather, I never felt myself a Norman. My grandfather felt that my mother had been used by Lord Robert, and he did not like it. He was English, and his daughter, my mother, whilst brought up in Normandy, was English. It followed that he regarded me as English. He continued to speak to me in English whenever we were alone, but he risked the wrath of Lord William if he spoke it in his presence. Father Raymond was French, and he also taught me French and Latin. I was not a natural student, and it took punishment for the knowledge to penetrate. But sink in it did, eventually. My punishing lessons with Father Raymond ensured that my Norman was perfect. As I approached my 10th year on this earth, Lord William had yet to have his sons and his daughter. It was when they were born that my life would change. By the time Lord William's sons, Robert and Gilbert, came along to be taught by the French priest, I had learned enough to be able to help him teach while still learning. I saw my future in those lessons. I was there to be used by the Malet family. The blood I had inherited must have made them feel that I owed the family some sort of loyalty. When we worked with my grandfather, it was different. My grandfather never deferred to me or gave me an easy time, but I felt an equal with the other young men training to be what Lord William called pueros. Pueros were not squires, but were young men training to be warriors. Only a few men would be squires, but every pueros would fight for Sir William in one shape or form. I got on well with the other four, despite the fact that I was younger than they were. Baldwin, Odo, Guillaume, and Bruno were like blood brothers to me, and I felt more affinity with them than my half-brothers. Their fathers all served my half-brother. 3 years earlier, Lord William had been with Duke William, when they had fought for the French king at the Battle of Valais-June. He had done well, but Bruno's father was killed, and somehow that made Bruno and I even closer. We were both orphans. He was a similar height to me, and my grandfather often paired us together, and fighting against someone of a similar build helped us both. My grandfather was helped in his training schedule by Alain. He was a horseman from Brittany. I never discovered the real reason he had fled his homeland to serve with my father, Lord Robert, but he had, and he had stayed. He had a wife and 3 daughters. It was he who taught us to ride. Those lessons began almost as soon as we began training, when I was just 4. I think at that age you endure falls easier. We all fell from the backs of the ponies we were given. He wanted us to be good horsemen, and so we trained at first, without saddles. We learned to grip with our legs. By the time I was 7 and using the simple saddles, we were far more competent riders. The horses we then rode were little more than ponies, but even Lord William and his knights rode small horses, and less riding to battle. The riders' feet almost touched the ground.